The stage lights dimmed as a single voice pierced the air, brandishing a Trump Make America Great Again t-shirt like a battle flag. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? Which states? Which city? We love to know and connect with our viewers. The community center in Queens stood quiet, its faded walls adorned with posters of past local events, youth basketball games, tenant rights workshops, a mural of the neighborhood skyline painted by school kids. The faint scent of coffee lingered from a pot on a corner table, styrofoam cups scattered nearby. Outside, the hum of Roosevelt Avenue traffic mixed with the occasional siren, a reminder of the borough's restless energy. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, known to all as AOC, stood on a modest stage at the front of the room, her navy blazer sharp against a white blouse, dark hair pulled back in a neat bun. A microphone rested in her hand, her posture relaxed yet commanding after finishing the main part of her town hall. She had just wrapped up a detailed speech on her latest legislative push, a bill to protect against non-consensual deepfake videos, a growing threat to privacy in the digital age. Her voice still echoed in the minds of the small group of attendees who lingered in front of the stage, a mix of loyal supporters, curious locals, and a few skeptics. The room wasn't packed. Most attendees had left after the formal presentation, trickling out to catch buses or grab dinner at nearby diners. But a handful of people remained, standing in a loose semicircle before the stage, their faces a mosaic of Queen's diversity. A young woman in a hijab clutched a notebook, a middle-aged man with a gray beard shifted his weight, and a teenage boy in a hoodie typed furiously on his phone. AOC's team hovered near the back, organizing handouts and whispering about the next event. She stepped closer to the edge of the stage, her eyes warm as she addressed the group. "I'm glad you all stayed. I want to hear from you. What's on your mind? Let's talk about what's really affecting our community." She spoke with the ease of someone who'd grown up in these neighborhoods, her Queen's accent softening her words. AOC's rise from bartender to congresswoman was a story etched into the district's memory, a testament to her grit and connection to the people she represented. As she listened to the first question, a mother asking about Medicaid funding, her mind drifted to her own past. She remembered nights in her childhood apartment, her mother scrubbing floors late into the evening, the worry lines deepening after her father's passing. Those memories fueled her fight, grounding her in the struggles of the working class. She answered the mother with a promise to keep pushing against proposed cuts, her tone firm. "We're not just fighting for policy, we're fighting for families like yours, like mine." The atmosphere shifted abruptly when a man stepped forward from the group, his presence commanding attention. His name was Joe Mancini, a middle-aged construction worker with a weathered face and calloused hands, his red MAGA cap tilted slightly. In his grip, he held a white t-shirt, the bold red and blue letters of Trump Make America Great Again blazing across the fabric. The small group of attendees froze, their murmurs fading into a tense silence. Joe's voice was rough, honed by years of shouting over construction site noise. "Representative, I got a question for you. Why are you always against Trump's policies? He brought jobs, real jobs for guys like me. You want to talk community? Talk about that." He thrust the t-shirt forward, the fabric trembling in his hand. His eyes locked on AOC. AOC's smile tightened for a split second before she regained her composure, stepping closer to the edge of the stage. Her gaze met Joe's, unflinching. "Thank you for your question. What's your name?" she asked, her voice steady but inviting. "Joe," he replied, his tone gruff. "Joe Mancini. Been building in Queens for 20 years, and I'm sick of my taxes going to stuff that don't help us." "All right, Joe," AOC said, nodding. "Let's talk jobs. Under the last administration, we saw major losses in construction. Hundreds of thousands of jobs gone because of trade policies that didn't protect workers like you. My focus is on sustainable jobs, not short-term promises." She reached for a fact sheet on the podium beside her, holding it up for the group to see. "The data shows unemployment spiked in your sector, and small businesses struggled. That's what I'm working to fix. Real investment in our community." Joe's face flushed, his jaw clenching. "That's your spin. Trump kept my crew busy, busier than ever before the Democrats took over. You're all about big government taking our money." He waved the t-shirt again, his frustration drawing a few murmurs from the group. The young woman in the hijab shifted uncomfortably while the teenage boy stopped typing, his eyes darting between Joe and AOC. The tension thickened as Joe pressed his point, stepping closer to the stage. You talk about protecting privacy with your fancy bill, but what about the dignity of guys like me who can't pay bills, 'cause your policies kill jobs? I lost work after the pandemic. Your lockdowns made it worse. Trump would have kept us going. His voice cracked, revealing the raw emotion beneath his anger. A flashback hit him hard, standing on a silent construction site, the foreman shaking his head, telling the crew to go home. The weeks that followed were a blur of empty paychecks, late-night arguments with his wife, and the gnawing fear of losing everything. Trump rallies became his refuge, the red hats and chants of MAGA lifting him from despair. He'd stood in a parking lot once, shoulder to shoulder with hundreds, feeling seen for the first time in years. AOC raised a hand, her expression softening but resolute. Joe, I hear you, and I'm truly sorry for what you went through. The pandemic hit us all hard. It was a global crisis, and we made tough calls to save lives. Lockdowns kept families safe, including here in Queens. But let's talk recovery. My office has pushed for infrastructure funding that's brought billions to New York for projects like yours. That's not handouts. That's building a future. She pointed to a chart on the projector screen behind her, showing funding allocations, her voice steady. We're creating opportunities, not just patching up the past. The small group of attendees stirred, their voices overlapping. The young woman in the hijab spoke up, her voice trembling but firm. I support you, AOC, but Joe's got a point. My dad's a contractor, and he's struggling too. Can we find a way to help both sides? The gray-bearded man nodded, adding, Yeah, but Trump's tariffs hurt my store. I'm still recovering from that. The dialogue spread, a mix of perspectives rippling through the group. AOC stepped back slightly, letting them speak, her role shifting to facilitator. She nodded to each person, her patience a stark contrast to Joe's agitation. Joe wasn't ready to back down. You're dodging me. Why you always against Trump? He'd fix this faster than your slow bureaucracy. He thrust the t-shirt toward her again, the fabric crumpling in his fist. AOC's eyes narrowed slightly, but she kept her calm. Joe, my opposition isn't personal. It's about policy. Trump's tax cuts favored the wealthy, not workers like you. My bills, like the deepfake one, protect everyone, not just the elite. I grew up here, worked these streets. My fight's for you, too. The group hung on her words, the air heavy with tension. AOC's mind flashed back to her early days organizing in Queens, standing in a cramped bodega, listening to a cashier vent about rising rents, her own mother's exhaustion after long cleaning shifts. Those moments shaped her, anchoring her in the struggles of her community. Joe, however, was still caught in his anger, his voice rising. You don't get it. I backed him because he listened. Nobody else did. His words carried the weight of years of feeling unheard, his loyalty to Trump rooted in that rare sense of validation. A pivotal moment came when the teenage boy in the hoodie spoke up, his voice hesitant but clear. I'm from Jackson Heights. My family's on Medicaid. Cuts would ruin us. But Joe, my uncle's a construction worker too. Can't we talk about both? The group quieted, the boy's words cutting through the divide. AOC seized the opportunity, her tone softening further. That's exactly what we need. Real dialogue. Joe, tell me more about your crew. What do they need most? She gestured for him to continue, her strategic patience beginning to disarm his frustration. Joe hesitated, then spoke, his voice lowering. We need steady contracts, not promises. We lost a big job to out-of-state firms. Your infrastructure money didn't reach us. AOC nodded, pulling up a map on the screen. I hear you. This district got millions for local projects. Let's figure out where it went. My team can help you file a complaint if it's being misdirected. The offer caught Joe off guard, his grip on the t-shirt loosening. He muttered, Didn't think you'd care. The conversation deepened as others joined in. The Latina mother shared her fears of losing health care, her story resonating with AOC's Medicaid advocacy. The gray-bearded man raised concerns about immigration straining resources, prompting AOC to explain her balanced approach, border security paired with humane policy. Joe listened, his initial hostility fading as he saw parallels with his own struggles. Another flashback hit him, standing in line at a food bank, the shame burning his chest. then the relief of a Trump rally's camaraderie. Yet AOC's willingness to engage shifted his perspective, her sincerity chipping away at his defenses. The dialogue stretched on, the small group finding common ground. AOC shared stories of her own, nights bartending in the Bronx, hearing workers' fears of layoffs, her own student loan debt a constant pressure. Joe nodded slowly, relating to the grind, his anger giving way to curiosity. The young woman in the hijab suggested a community job fair, an idea AOC embraced immediately. "Let's make it happen. My office can coordinate with local unions," she said, her voice bright with possibility. The teenage boy grinned, typing the idea into his phone, already spreading the word on X. The climax came when Joe lowered the t-shirt, draping it over his arm. "Maybe you're not all talk," he admitted, his tone gruff but tinged with respect. AOC smiled, stepping down from the stage to stand level with the group. "And maybe you're not just a protester. You're a worker with real concerns. Let's work on this together." The attendees clapped softly, a tentative unity forming. They agreed to a follow-up meeting. Joe and AOC's team would investigate the construction funding gap, a concrete step toward addressing his concerns. As the group dispersed, AOC lingered, reflecting on the night. Her mind drifted to her early organizing days, knocking on doors in the Bronx, the trust she'd built, block by block. Joe stayed a moment longer, shaking her hand, the t-shirt now a symbol of their uneasy truce. The community center emptied, the hum of voices fading into the night. Word of the exchange spread through Queens, whispered in bodegas, shared on social media, less a victory than a lesson in listening. AOC's team noted the shift, one aide texting a colleague. She turned a confrontation into a coalition. That's why she's AOC. The story of that night became a quiet legend in the district, a reminder that even in a divided America, understanding could begin with a single conversation. Joe kept the t-shirt, but he also kept AOC's card, a bridge between their worlds. And in Queens, the community center stood as a space where voices, even opposing ones, could find a way forward. Where are you watching from? What do you think about this unexpected alliance between AOC and Joe? Share your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this story, follow for more tales of connection and conflict.